live free event hosted by TalentSprint's Banker's Choice program. I'm Sylvia. So far we've been focusing on SBI PO Phase 1 exam. We're moving to yet another competitive exam, which is the SSC CGL exam, right? And before we get into today's session, where we will be focusing specifically on English comprehension, we'll be analyzing previous year's question paper. Let's quickly brief ourselves about the selection procedure, right? Most of you are aware that the date for submission of application has been extended to August, and the written examination for the Tier 1 exam is scheduled somewhere around, I think, August 9th or 6th, if I'm not wrong. However, the selection procedure, if you ask me, is a 3-tier system. It's a multi-tier testing, right? So you have Tier 1, Tier 2, and Tier 3. So Tier 1, again, is a written examination. It's, objective multiple choice type. So you have 4 papers. You have general intelligence plus reasoning. You have general awareness. You have quantitative aptitude, and you have English comprehension. So each of these sections have about 50 questions, 50 marks. That totals up to 200 marks. And there is a negative marking of 0.25, right? So once you qualify Tier 1, you move to Tier 2, which is again a written examination, objective multiple choice type, 3 papers. You have quantitative abilities, then you have English comprehension again, and then you have statistics, right? So slight difference in Tier 2. You'll have 100 questions for 200 marks for quantitative abilities. English remains pretty much 200 questions, 200 marks, and then statistics again, 100 questions, 200 marks. But the only difference in the negative marking is 0.25 for English. However, it's 0.50 for quantitative abilities and statistics, right? So once you clear Tier 2, then you move to Tier 3, right? Which is for 100 marks. It's basically, your interview proficiency, skill test, computer-based efficiency, depending on the post that you select. So pretty much this is the selection procedure for this exam. But when it comes to the English comprehension, the syllabus, most of us are aware of the question types again, right? You will come across question types like spot the error, fill in the blanks, idioms and phrases, one-word substitutions, what else? Sentence improvement. You will have jumbled sentences. You might have a closed passage. You'll definitely have reading comprehension, right? You will also have grammar components like active, passive voice, direct, indirect speech. So these are pretty much the question types that you can expect in the English comprehension section. Now, let's quickly, delve into today's topic, which is analyzing one of the previous year's paper. Today's paper that we're going to look at is 2014 SSC CGL exam paper. It was a morning paper. So we'll take a look at what are the types of questions, right? Like we said, we're going to look at Tier 1, right? So 50 questions altogether. We may not have time to review all the 50 questions, but the approach for this particular session is to how to analyze or how to look at these question types. So I have basically categorized them. I've categorized the question types. Now, if you look at the 2014 last year's paper, quickly you have about, total number of questions is 50, right? You have about idioms and phrases. If you ask me, you have about 5 questions on that. Sentence improvement or phrase substitution, you have about 10 questions on that. There's one-word substitutions, which is about 7. And then you'll have to detect misspelled words, spellings. That's about just 2. Reading comprehension, pretty much if you ask me the pattern, it's 2 passages, right? It's either a 200 to 250 word count passage with 5 questions each. That's how it is, mostly, right? And then you have spot the error, which is again another 5 questions. fill in the blanks, another 5 questions, and then you have antonyms and synonyms, which is 3 questions each. So all of this totals up to 50 questions altogether. Now the idea, like I said, is I have categorized these type of questions. Now let's look at these categories, and then we look at a couple of questions from previous year's paper and see how we can apply these categories. Now the first category is either you know the answer or you don't know the answer, right? Those sort of question types. Either I know it or I don't know it. Let's look at that category. So category 1, right? So what sort of question types do you think will fall under this category? Any guesses from the ones that I read out? I read out the type of questions, right? No idea. Okay, so let's look at this. It will definitely be spellings, right? Either I know the spelling or I don't know the spelling, right? Or one-word substitutions. Either I know what this means or I don't know what this means, right? So one-word substitutions and spellings will fall under this category. Okay, category 2. I can apply certain strategies, concepts, rules. I can infer, I can guess the meaning. Okay, that's category 2 question types. Let's look at what question types fall under that category. Yeah, so this is category 1. I've listed down a couple of question types in this category. Right? So what sort of question types will fall under this category? Your typical spot the error, fill in the blanks, reading comprehension, RC, right? Sentence improvement. What else? Active voice, passive voice, and direct indirect speech, right? So these sort of question types will fall under this category. Reading comprehension, I have the context, close passage, jumble sentence. Yeah, I've just written JS for jumble sentence. So basically, these sort of question types will fall under this category, where either I will guess the meaning from the context, or I will apply some strategies or concepts like root words, collocations, right? Or basic grammar rules, right? To spot the error, sentence improvement, basic grammar rules. So these sort of questions will fall under this category. There's a category 3. What's that category? Category 3 is a combination of both of these, category 1 and category 2. Either I know the answer or I will apply certain strategies or concepts. So question patterns like that would be what? Any guesses? Idioms and phrases. Right? If the idiom and phrases is coming independently without a context, I either know it or I don't know it. But if I have a context, then I can guess the meaning from the clues from the context, right? So it will fall under both those categories, category 1 and 2. What about synonyms and antonyms? Right? Synonyms and antonyms, again, either I know the meaning of the word or I can apply the strategy of root words and figure out the meaning of the word, right? So if you have an idea in terms of what or how I need to prepare for these particular question types, category 1, you just need to read extensively and register to apply, right? Which is spellings and one-word substitutions. Category 2, I need to practice a lot. I need to familiarize myself with basic concepts, which is, it could be grammar, it could be idioms and phrases, right? It could be collocations, it could be root words, whatever the concepts or strategies, or be familiar with rules, right? There are so many rules when it comes to grammar components, right? So that is category 2. Category 3, both of them. Now, let's take a couple of question types from previous year's question paper, right? We'll go category wise and see how we can prepare and practice for these specific question types, right? I'm going to start with category 3, where I'm saying Either I know the answer or I will apply certain concepts and strategies. So let's start with category 3. So we'll take a couple of sentence question types either from idioms and phrases or synonyms and antonyms and look at it. Right? So let's take synonyms and antonyms to begin with. So one of the questions, let me just quickly write down the question and then you can either tell me, we're going to apply, for synonyms and antonyms, normally we end up applying the strategy of root words, right? That's what we do. So let's do that. So if you have access to, 2014 SSC CGL morning paper, because that's what we're reviewing, yeah, it's question number 45. Right, let me write down the paper that we're reviewing. Okay, so question number 45. Basically, I've taken only the English comprehension, so maybe don't worry about the question number as such, right? It could be 155 or 156, but it comes under antonyms, synonyms. So the first question that we're going to look at is, okay, this is the word. Okay, and we have to figure out what the antonym of this word is. Let me give you the options. Remember, it's extremely important for us to understand the question type. Here we are looking at antonym. Okay, so we want to find the word that is opposite in meaning to this word indict. Okay, so if we have to break it down, right, you may not know the meaning of this word at all, indict. You don't know it. So what's the other approach? I can apply root words. Now in this word there is a prefix, very obvious prefix, which is in. Right? What is a root word? A root word is basically, if you remove the prefix or the suffix, the remaining smallest unit, that's the root word. Right? Most root words are derived from Latin or Greek and they have their own meanings. Okay, so dict is a root word. It's a Latin root word, right, which means say or tell. Okay, that's what it means. So now that we know this is a Latin root word, okay, say or declare or tell, that's what it means. Now this prefix in also has a meaning. That's also again Latin. It means not or negation, right? So which means because of this prefix in and this root word meaning dict, to say something negatively or to declare something, with a negative meaning, what are the words can I associate that with? If I'm saying something negative to you, can you think of synonyms for that? Maybe I'm accusing you of something. Maybe I'm criticizing you of something, right? That I'm saying something negatively, right? I'm telling something negatively. I'm accusing you. I'm criticizing you. That's pretty much the meaning of indict. Now let's look at our options here, right? I have accuse, I have exonerate, I have incriminate, and I have impeach. Now because of this negation word in, right, which means not, what can I quickly eliminate from my options? In or im. Both these prefixes bring in the meaning of not or negation. Right? Having said that, I can immediately eliminate 3 and 4 because it has the prefix in and im. Okay, I eliminate that because it gives me the same meaning. It's a negative word. So I know indict is a negative word. I have the same prefix in option 3 and 4, in and im, which also gives the same meaning, which is negation. I will eliminate that. Accuse is almost a synonym for this word, right? We just saw you're saying something negatively, you're accusing someone, you're criticizing someone. So this is a synonym. We want an antonym. So I can again eliminate option 1, which is a synonym, and the answer is option 2, exonerate. Right? Are you able to follow how we applied the strategy of root words to arrive at the meaning or the right answer for this particular antonym option? Right? So one way of looking at it is either I know the answer or I don't know the answer. But if I don't know the answer, then I have to get familiar with root words, right? I need to know this root word and what its meaning is. I also need to know the meanings of prefixes and suffixes, which will help me eliminate. And then I'm applying strategies like elimination method, getting rid of, the wrong answer choices, and then narrowing it down to the right answer choice. Okay, so let's go ahead and look at one more question type. We looked at antonym, maybe we look at one synonym. So let's look at one synonym. I'm going to put it down. Maybe most of you can attempt answering it if you're familiar with the word, great. If you're not, if you can attempt to apply the strategy of root words, please do. So that's the word convalesce. Okay. Right, these are the options. We want the synonym of this word convalesce. Right. So let's apply again. What do you think? Maybe a couple of you can try. So can we have some responses? Maybe a couple of you are attempting. We're still in root words. We looked at an antonym. We're going to look at synonym. So again here, if you don't know the word, then another strategy that you can fall back on is root words, right? So con is a Latin root word, which means with or together. Okay, which means with or together. So from the options, what can I quickly eliminate? Diminish means to lessen. Okay. Admonish means to kind of warn someone of something. Okay. Recover, you're restoring back to some good health or whatever. Convey is to communicate, right? Impart some sort of a message. So from this word with or together, the Latin root word, what do you think is the closest in meaning to this word convalesce? Something that happens together because you're taking something, right? It's a process. So the closest one is definitely not lesson. It's not a warning. It's definitely not convey, but it's to recover, because it's a process that's happening together where you're taking in something and it is helping you restore your health back, right? So convalesce, the closest meaning is recover. For some of you, it might be challenging because if you don't understand the application of root words, then it's going to be pretty difficult, because synonyms and antonyms in these question papers come independently. They don't come in a context. So it's going to be slightly challenging for you if you don't get familiar with root words concept. Let's move to a couple of other question types, right? One of it, we said we're still in category 3, where we're saying we can apply both the concepts of either I know it or I'm applying some strategy. Let's look at some idioms and phrases now. Right? If I say hold your horses, what do you think is the meaning of this? Have you heard this idiom? Have you heard people use this, or have you used it yourself? Let me put down the options. Okay, these are the options. So what do you think is the meaning of this particular idiom? Now, thankfully, in your question paper, you have a context, right? Even if you don't know the meaning of this idiom, because it's just coming independently, let's look at what the context says. Now, this is the context. It says, hold your horses for a moment while I make a phone call. Now, can you go ahead and guess the meaning? What do you think is the meaning? Hold your horses for a moment while I make a phone call. Right? You have be patient, stay out, be quiet, wait. So because of this context, it says for a moment while I make a phone call, you obviously know that the answer is wait. Right? It's not stay out, it's not be quiet, it's not be patient. It's just simply wait. Can you just wait for a moment? Let me finish this phone call, right? Let's look at another one. This is the idiom, a cut above. So again, like I said, when it comes independently, do you know what the meaning is? A cut above. What is the meaning of this phrase or idiom? Let's put that in a context. So this is the context. Sachin Tendulkar's batting skills make him a cut above the rest. Options are option A, taller than, option B, superior to, option C, senior to, option D, different from. So what do you think is the answer? Right? The context is trying to help you. It's definitely not taller than, it's definitely not different from, and it's definitely not senior to, right? We're talking about someone who's slightly more better, right? So Sachin Tendulkar's batting skills make him better than the rest. He's a little top notch. That's what it means. Superior to is the closest meaning to this idiom, a cut above. So do you see in category 3, where we looked at synonyms, antonyms, idioms and phrases, where we're saying either I know the answer or I can apply certain strategies. For synonyms and antonyms, I can apply root words. For idioms and phrases, I can again look at the context, look at clues from the context, which will help me arrive at the answer option. Now let's move to category 2, where we said I need to again apply a lot of strategies and concepts or rules or infer, guess the meaning from the context clues. So one of the first question types we look at is sentence improvement or phrase substitution, right? Let me put down the first question. So this is our context. The report highlights a number of instances of injustice, okay? So the highlighted phrases, yeah, this entire phrase is the one that is highlighted, and we have options. We'll have to choose from the given option if we have to substitute it or leave it as it is. No improvement or no correction required, right? So what sort of a concept will you apply here? How will you arrive at the answer? Or what strategy will you apply here? Or is there a rule? The report, okay, that's a singular subject, right? So, and then I have highlights, which is the action word, verb. So does the verb correspond to the singular subject? It does, right? So is there any option that's giving me anything different? Yes, option A. It says highlight. I can eliminate option A. Subject verb agreement rule, right? I can eliminate option A. What else? And then I have a number of instance of injustice. Now, a number of is the clue phrase for you, right? When you say a number of, it's usually followed by a plural noun, right? A number of times. There's a number of reasons. So, which of the option is giving you that? Out of B and C. If you look at B, it says highlights a numbers, which is again incorrect, right? Highlights a number of instances. Option C is giving me the right noun number, which is a plural noun number. That's what I need. So the answer is option C. So if you look at this question type, we applied subject verb agreement rule. We eliminated the wrong option first. Then we looked at the clue phrase, a number of, right, which is usually followed by a plural noun number. And then I looked at my options and saw which one gives me that. Both gives me that, but then here I have numbers, which is incorrect, right? Let's look at one more question type. So this is where, so question types like this, obviously you have to be familiar with certain basic rules, right? You have to know some strategies and concepts to be able to arrive at the right answer. Let's look at one more. The government can see scarcely any valid reason to launch an inquiry. So the highlighted phrases, can see scarcely any valid reason. Our options are option A, cannot scarcely see any valid reason. Option B, can see any valid reason scarcely. Option C, can scarcely see any valid reason. And then of course I have no improvement or no correction required. So let's try and attempt this question. Let's talk about or discuss what is the rule or the concept that we have to apply here to arrive at the answer. So Jayesh says option C. Okay. Some of you are saying option B. Sangeet says C. Okay, fine. All of you are giving me the answer. Some of you are giving me option A as well. Can you tell me the concept? See, the earlier question we looked at a rule, right? We looked at subject verb agreement rule, and then we looked at noun numbers, singular plural noun numbers. Instead of you giving me the options, some of you have given me A, some of you have given me C, some of you have given me C. Basically, you gave me all three options. But can you tell me which concept did you apply to arrive at that answer? Let's focus on that, right? What is the rule? What is the concept? Sangeet, tell me the rule or the concept. I'm still getting options. You're just giving me the answer. Nobody's talking about the rule or the concept. Negative. What is that? Subhajit Roy says adverb. I'm not following. Adverb. Okay, you're close, Subhajit. Adverb of what? There is a clue word, right? What is this, scarcely? What is scarcely? It's an adverb of frequency, right? Scarcely means to a minimal level, right? Other adverbs of frequency is never, sometimes, always, often, right? These are all adverbs of frequency telling me the frequency with which something happens. So what's the rule? Can somebody tell me the rule? And then you have also modal auxiliary can, right? So in terms of positioning in a sentence, it's basically word order. The concept is word order, and there is two rules. You will have to interchange these words. It's a word order error, and there are two rules addressed in this. Just guessing. Now this adverb of frequency comes always after the modal auxiliary and before the simple tense of the verb. I'm repeating it again. This is the rule. The rule is adverbs of frequency, scarcely, never, sometimes, often, always, they always come after the modal auxiliary but before the simple tense of the verb. What is the verb here? What is the action here? See, that's my verb, right? So which option is giving me that? Adverb of frequency is coming after the modal auxiliary can and before the simple tense of the verb. Option C. Are you following? So it's a word order error. I have two rules. The rule is adverbs of frequency come after the modal auxiliary and before the simple tense of the verb. Yeah? Are you following? So again, for all these question types, you need to be if you know the rule, you don't even have to opt for the wrong answer choice. A and B will not come into the picture at all. You will know the rule and you will know option C is the answer. Right? That's why it's important for you to be familiar with rules. Yeah, just to explain the rule, I want to give you some example sentences. So I'm going to erase this. Right? Let's look at these two contexts. The first one is he can never understand. What's the adverb of frequency here? Never. Where is it coming? Where is its position? It is coming after the modal auxiliary can. Right? Look at this one. They sometimes stay up all night. What is the adverb of frequency here? Sometimes. Where is it coming? Before the verb, the simple tense. Stay up. It's a phrasal verb, but it's still the action word, right? It's coming before that. So that's the rule. Adverbs of frequency come after modal auxiliary before simple tense of the verb. It's a word order error. Okay. So initially we looked at category 1 where we said, either you know it or you don't know it. And we also, category 3, and we also applied concepts of root words, right? We're in category 2 where we're saying we need to know some rules, we need to know some strategies, we need to know some concepts. So the first thing we looked at is sentence improvement. Let's move to another question type where again we will apply certain concepts or strategies. Okay, maybe we can look at fill in the blanks. Okay, this is the context. His conduct is bad and his honesty is not dash suspicion, right? My options are above, beyond, under, in. Now again, there is a strategy, there is a concept, there is a rule. When I say strategy, concept, rule, it can either be a grammar rule like the previous question type that we saw, or it can be a concept. A concept can be a collocation. It can be idioms and phrases, right? Root words, anything. Strategy, that is only where we are either using substitution method or elimination method, eliminating wrong answer choices, narrowing our answer options. So what's the answer and how did you arrive at the answer? I think you guys are getting confused between scared. Scared means fear. Scarcely is a completely different word. So don't get confused there. Right? Nirmal is right. Scarcely means rarely. So Mona Lisa says it's be, beyond. Some of you are saying see, under. Okay, most of you are saying either B or C. But my question again is, there is a concept. Can you identify the concept? Archana C, Lalita says D. Let's see who's able to identify the concept. If you know the concept, your answer is always going to be correct. Some positive word has come. Shekhar. Okay, let's look at the context. Okay, his conduct is bad. So we know this person's mannerism and behavior is negative. Okay, and his honesty is not dash suspicion. So if someone's behavior or mannerism is bad, you will obviously suspect him, right? If you know that this person's behavior or mannerism is bad, you will question his honesty. You will be suspicious of him. But this is, and his honesty is not dash suspicion. So we saw the concept in first class. Okay, nobody is giving me the answer. I'm going to give you the answer. The answer is, it's an idiom, above suspicion. Have you heard that idiom? It's an idiomatic phrase. Above suspicion is an idiom, which means that person is so trustworthy and so believable that you don't suspect him or her of any wrongdoing, right? So above suspicion is an idiom, which means that that person, that individual is so trustworthy and so believable that you don't suspect them of any wrongdoing. But because of I have this not, and if you're familiar with this idiom, you know the answer is A. Not many of you gave me that answer, probably because you are not familiar with the idiom and what it means, right? So if you're familiar with that idiom, you don't have to waste time. You have your context giving you the meaning that it wants to convey, and you have not, which means he is under suspicion. Because of this phrase here, his conduct is bad. Let's look at one more question type. Truculent in defending their individual rights of sovereignty under the Articles of Confederation, the newly formed states dash constantly. Okay. Option A, apologized. Option B, digressed. Option C, conferred. Option D, squabbled. Now, for some of you, most of the words are sounding Greek and Latin, right? Some new unfamiliar words. Now, there is a clue word in the context. If you know the meaning of that clue word, you will be able to easily arrive at the answer, right? What is the clue word? So the concept here is vocabulary, context clues. There is a clue in the context. If I know the meaning of that word, I know the answer. And if you look at the options, it's not very difficult words. Probably Some of you may not know what squabbled means. Conferred also you may not know, but apologized, you know. Digressed, I'm hoping you know. Digress means what? To turn aside, to deviate temporarily from the main subject, right? So what do you think is the clue word? So some of you are saying C is the answer. Yes, David, Irish David, correct. What is the meaning of truculent, Irish? Can you tell me? For the benefit of everybody. Biru is also correct. Truculent is the clue word. What is the meaning of truculent? Eager to fight. You want to engage in some sort of opposition, some sort of hostility, right? So let's understand the context now. We know the meaning of truculent, right? Truculent means eager to fight. You want to engage in something that is disharmony, that is causing disharmony, a lot of hostility. So eager to fight and defending their individual rights of sovereignty under the Articles of Confederation, the newly formed states dash constantly. If someone is eager to fight, eager to engage in some sort of quarrel, do you think they're going to apologize constantly? Definitely not. Do you think they're going to digress constantly? Again, it's an illogical fit. You know, it's not the right choice of word in this context, because digress means, let's say I'm talking about fill in the blanks, I'm talking about English, and suddenly I jump to, I talk about today's match. I'm completely digressing from what I'm saying. You know, it's an illogical word. It doesn't fit in this context. I have conferred and I have squabbled. Yeah, Jayesh says squabbled. Sheetal says B, which I just eliminated right now. All right. So what's the meaning of conferred? Conferred means to bestow with an honor. Again, an inappropriate word in this context, right? But what is the meaning of squabble? Squabble means to get into a noisy quarrel, you know, often over something very trivial, right? So the answer is squabbled. So for me here in this particular question type, all I've done is I've identified the clue word in the context, which is truculent. First of all, I need to know the meaning of that word in terms of, you know, my vocabulary being a little broad, right? And then I understand the meaning that the context is giving, and then I arrive at the answer. So which means I need to know the meanings of the options as well. Some of you probably did not know the meaning of digress. You just randomly chose option B. Some of you chose option C. Again, maybe you did not know the meaning of the word conferred. Are you following? Okay, so so far we've looked at sentence improvement and fill in the blanks. Maybe we'll look at spot the error, our favorite question type, right? Finding errors. Let's look at a couple of questions from that and see and learn, or what concepts or what strategies do we have to apply. So what do we have here? The whole block of flats. So basically we have the sentence divided into 3 parts, including 2 shops were destroyed in fire. So spot the error. It's pretty easy. When you read it, you know which part has the error. Just tell me what's the concept. Clue words, how to identify. One of the questions was that, see, basically you will have synonym, another adjectives. You know, adjectives also again are descriptive words in the context, which will help me arrive at the answer. You also have hint words, you know, antonym, synonym, hint words. In our previous session, we saw, right, for synonyms it's and, or, sometimes adjectives. For antonyms it's but, rather, while, still, although, right? So all of these hint words and clue words in the context will kind of help us arrive at the answer. We'll have to look for it. Okay, in this particular question, blocks of flat. Okay, so you're saying it's error is in part 1. See, when I say one block, you've gone to these huge apartments, right, where there's A block, B block, C block, 3 block, which has more than one flat. So the whole block of flats is grammatically correct. So you don't have to change anything there. I don't know why everybody wants to change that. Yes, Swati, the whole block of flats is correct. I agree with Swati. Where else is the error? Replace where by was. Where is that? The whole block of flats including 2 shops. But it doesn't just talk about the block of flats, right? It also includes 2 shops, which means it's more than one subject. So where as a verb is correct. Plural verb is what I need. If including 2 shops wasn't there, maybe then I can think about changing where to was. So both the explanations that you guys have given me so far are incorrect. Where else is the error? Or if you feel there is no error, then go ahead and tell me that there was no error. Definitely it cannot be 2 shop. It has to be 2 shops, right? More than 1 shop. So I have to have a plural noun. Shekhar, that's what I'm explaining. It has to be 2 shops. 1 shop, 2 shops. So Irish says by fire instead of in fire. I want you again. I'm surprised. I thought this was an easy question. I'm surprised nobody's given me the answer yet. Mona Lisa says destroyed by fire. So after I have ruled out the first 2 explanations, some of you are just going with no error. Option 4. Read the sentence and tell me, we're talking about something that happens specifically somewhere. I just gave you a hint. So yes, Lalita, thank you very much. Right? When I'm talking about an event that is happening specifically, the reason is very specific. What do I need? I need the definite article. Where do I need to fit that in? I think Lalita is the only one who's given me the answer so far, which is right here. The error is in part 3. The whole block of flats, including 2 shops, were destroyed in the fire. Where did they destroy? Where were they destroyed? Specifically in the fire. So the answer is, the error is in part 3. You add the definite article the. Right? So all of your other explanations ruled out because it's grammatically correct. So part 1 is right, part 2 is right, the error is in part 3. See, this is very simple. When you read it, you know, the concept is articles. It's talking about a very specifically what happened to these flats and shops. Where were they destroyed? In the fire. Okay, now Shekhar got the spelling of fire incorrect. Let's look at one more question and spot the error. The old lady swooned but was soon restored at senses. Right? Sentence is divided into 3 parts, and then I of course have no error, where I feel if the sentence is grammatically and meaningfully correct, I will choose option 4. Now I'm guessing most of you may not know the meaning of this word swooned, so I'll give you the explanation of that. Swoon means it could either mean, there are a couple of meanings. One is it could mean that if you fainted, you know, if you're feeling dizzy, right? Swooning. It can also mean that you are, you know, extremely ecstatic. Just imagine someone being extremely joyful and happy, and you know they're just doing some crazy things, right? They could be jumping, they could be giggling hysterically, laughing hysterically, right? Both these meanings apply, but in this context, you can take whichever is appropriate for you. The old lady swooned, but was soon restored at senses. Now that you know the meaning of swooned, where do you think the error is? And if you can tell me, what's the concept? Physical or emotional distress, joy. Okay, so we're talking about some extreme emotion where you know that you're behaving either you're behaving in a stupid way, basically, right? Either it could be that you're fainting, you're feeling dizzy, you know, you're in a trance, or it could mean that you're behaving in a very crazy way. So the old lady swooned but was soon restored. Was restored soon. Lalita says part 2. Okay, I will give you a hint again. The concept is there is an idiom in this context, but the entire idiom is not there, but there is part of the idiom which is there. So can someone identify what the idiom is? If you identify what the idiom is, you'll know which part has the error. So I want you to think on those lines. I've given you a hint. The hint is the concept is an idiom. Part of the idiom is there in the question. What is the idiom? Most of you are saying part 3, part 3, part 3. So those of you who are saying part 3, the idiom is in part 3. What is the idiom? Anyone? Restored with senses. Swati, no. I'm waiting for one person to tell me what is the idiom. Vinita, Arun, 3333333. Give me the idiom. I think somebody gave it to me. I missed. Kashyap, restored of sentences? Yes, thank you, Jayesh. Restored to senses. The idiom is coming to your senses. I came to my senses. So when I say I came to my senses, I realized that I was behaving in a inappropriate way, right? In a stupid way, in a crazy way. So I came back to my senses. So to senses, came to your senses, coming back to your senses. So the right preposition is not at, but to. So the old lady swooned, but was soon restored to her senses. The error is in part 3, right? That's your answer right there. The old lady swooned, but was soon restored to her senses, right? So this is an idiom, coming to your senses. So let's do a quick recap. We've almost run out of time. Yeah, before we do a recap, I just want to address the reading comprehension section as well, right? Now, so we looked at category 3, where we said it is a combination of both. We looked at category 2, where we said you have to know certain rules, you have to be familiar with certain concepts, you have to be familiar with certain strategies. You should be able to guess from the context clues, right? And category 1 was either you know or you don't know. One word substitution, spellings. That's something that you'll have to practice. Right? Now, reading comprehension again will come under category 2 because you have the context helping you. The best part about reading comprehension in these exams is it's about 250 to 270 word count passages. You'll have 5 questions each. Now, the questions are so easy and simple because it's the answers are directly there in the passage. You don't have to read between the lines, try and analyze what the author is trying to say. The answer is right there in the passage. And it comes in a sequence. The first question will be in the first 2-3 lines of the passage. Second question will be in the next 2-3 lines of the passage. So you're not wasting time again. So in this particular exam, the passages are so pretty much, I would say, at a very easy level. It's not, the difficulty level is very, very minimal. Right? So you should be able to easily crack reading comprehension. Within 2 to 3 minutes, you should be able to finish reading comprehension passages. You won't even take so long. You read the passage, you look at the answers, you'll be able to answer the questions. So let's do a quick recap, right? We said there are 3 categories of where question types may fall under each category, but the idea is whichever category needs you, all categories require you to practice and be familiar with certain concepts, right? Rules, like some of you asked, give me all the rules. The rules are available online, right? You have subject verb agreement rules, you have rules pertaining to adverbs, you have rules pertaining to tenses, right? So getting hold of rules is not the challenge. The challenge is for you to understand it and apply it while you practice, and most importantly, register it so you remember to apply that in your exam. Okay, so far, I think we pretty much have an idea of how to prepare and how to approach these particular question types for this specific exam. Also would like you to focus on active, passive voice and direct and indirect speech. Maybe we can look at that in our next session. So thank you all for participating, and continue practicing, and all the best.